Hello, hello. We are live, and I've got a special guest today. Michelle Lynch from Immersive French is joining me today, and I am so very excited. If you can hear me, please type in the chat where you are joining from. All right. So, my name is Patricia Brooks, and I love to talk about French and learning a new language because it's something that really has improved the quality of my life. And today I've got Michelle here, and she's going to talk all about five tips to help you learn French more easily. But before we get started with that, I just want to share with you that this Saturday, there are two spots left for my Women Rising Roundtable called Becoming a Global Woman. How to, who do you need to become to thrive abroad? And it's for people who are planning a move abroad or who have, it's for women who are planning a move abroad or have just moved abroad and would like some help transitioning, getting through some of the harder parts, building the mindset of the kind of person who moves abroad and stays abroad sustainably. And we're going to be talking about some cultural differences between in communication styles, but also in how we show up and what kind of energy we bring and what we can do to improve that so that it's easier. The transition is easier. So if you are interested in joining me on Saturday. As I say, there are two spots for two women left. You can join me by going to thecouragecatalyst.com/roundtable. And I was going to put that on the screen, but I will put that on the screen and in the chat in a minute. All right, because we got some business to take care of. Let me see if there are some comments. I don't see any comments. Can you hear us? Can you hear me? If you can hear me, type in the chat that you can hear me and where you're joining from, because if you can't hear me, that's going to be a problem.
That's a problem. C'est un problème.
Okay, let's see. That's odd. Oops. All right. I'm gonna check over. Okay, good. Hi, Tammy. So glad you could join us.
Yay.
And Julie, oh Julie, you're going to be joining on Saturday. Yes, okay, from California. All right, we were in business, sweating there for a minute. Yeah, this technology thing.
Oh,
All right. Well, today we've got Michelle Lynch from Canada, who has been speaking French for a long time. She is not a native speaker, but she has has learned and has continued to keep her French up, even though she's not immersed in that kind of environment. And she is going to share some tips with us today. And I'd like for you to share a little bit about yourself, Michelle, your language learning journey, why French, all of that good stuff.
sure. Well, first of all, thanks for having me, Patricia, and hello to everyone. So I started learning French at the age of 5. Hopefully, you can all hear me. Just you can
Yeah, there's a little bit of
little little echo
uh
there.
not an echo, it's like I don't know, like rubbing, like it sounds like a rubbing of fabric, like a shh.
Okay. Can we try? If I try that, is that better? No.
I hear it. I don't know if everybody else can hear it, so maybe it's
Okay.
just me.
Okay. Well,
If
hopefully
you can,
I.
if you can hear Michelle well, let us know if there's a noise that's bothering you or you can't hear her well. Let us know that as well. Okay. Go ahead, Michelle. Who are
All
you? Why are
right.
you here?
Why am I
Why
here?
French?
Why not French is my first answer. That's kind of the simple point, but no, why French for me? So, well, first of all, I've been learning French for a long time. My parents actually put me and my sister into French immersion when we were very young, at 5 years old, and that sort of started the spark for French, as far as I was concerned. Now, I did know, why they did that at the time, but I recognize, like, now in the long game, that it was a really wise decision that they did that. And so I took French all the way through public school, and then eventually I couldn't take it anymore. And I came to that crossroads at university, and I actually decided to go a different direction. And when I decided to go that different direction, then that didn't work out, and that's another story. And then I said, you know what am I going to do for my degree? And I'm like, why don't I go back to French? So I had that in my back pocket, and then I decided to pursue my degree in French studies and communications. Now, having said all of that, it doesn't mean that when you're living in a city like I do, where there's not a lot of French speakers, you still have to work at speaking French. And that was what my situation was. It was before Duolingo, before the apps, before YouTube, all of that. So I didn't have people to speak with. And so I had to find ways to be able to keep my French up when I was not immersed in French, and hence where I am now, why I call it immersive French, why I'm able to help people who are in that same boat. And now that we have these tools and technology, it makes it so much easier to connect. What I wish that I had that I didn't have was a group of people to speak with fluently on a regular basis. And that's sort of the purpose of how I started. So happy to expand, but that's sort of the general story.
Yes, and so you're in
Yeah.
Canada, but you're not in French Canada. You're not in Quebec.
No, no, I'm close to Quebec. I mean, I'm a province over. If you go, I can go there, but my regular everyday life is in the heart of Toronto, and that means that there are a lot more English speakers than there are French. So I have to constantly look for opportunities, and that's what I did in the early days. Like, look for job opportunities where I could speak French. Look for opportunities to help people that I can use my French. It was always a constant on the top of my brain to say, okay, I hear someone speaking French. Can I give them directions, or can I do something, read a label, do different things to keep the French up? And that's what has sustained me. So even when I finally got to France in 2017, there was a long gap. As much as I wanted to go there, I didn't get there right away. By the time I got there, many years later, 2017, my French was like well enough and good enough to continue to have those conversations. And I was thinking to myself, I'm actually really happy that I was able to speak it and keep it up, because it made my experience so much better. And had I
Yeah.
not done all those things along the way, I'm sure I would have lost it. No matter how much schooling I took, I'm sure it would have been gone.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to
Sorry.
if you're
Yeah,
not in it all the time.
yeah, yeah,
So you have some tips for us, five
yeah.
tips to
I
be
do.
exact,
I do.
that will help us or help people learn French more easily,
Yeah,
or I'm not exactly sure, but
yeah.
can you share what the first tip is that will
Sure.
help people?
Well, the first tip I have for people is really about making sure that you focus on the sound of French over just kind of the spelling of how words are. So I'll give you an example. Like in English, when we say a lot of words, often we add like S's to make things plural. So if I'm saying the word like car, I'll say car, and then to indicate that I'm talking about more than one car, we say cars, and we emphasize that S. But in French, that S is silent. So when we see it, often people, when they're learning French, they want to emphasize and say these letters, and they're actually silent. So when you're looking at only how something is spelled and not actually saying it out loud, then you'll get tripped up and thinking, oh, well, if I said the word voiture, une voiture, equivalent to a car in French, then you might say les voitures, but we don't say the S in French. So that's one of the tricks, is that not just the spelling alone is not always going to be enough to know how to say the words. It's understanding that, starting with that sound, so you know what sounds are silent, what sounds, for example, a T in French, Patricia, you'll know T is often silent. So people want to say like, I'm just trying to think of a good word example. Let's say violet. I don't know if everyone can see that on my screen. Violet in English, right? Violet.
Mhm.
But in French, we say violet, violet. You would not know that looking at this word because you think, I know this word in English, it's violet. But in French, it's not because the T, oh, I don't know if you can see my screen, but the T's are
I can
silent.
see it.
Yeah?
Yeah,
I'll
yeah.
make it a little bigger for everyone, but there we
And
go.
so focusing on the sound, right?
Yeah, sound.
So you're saying, and how do you do that?
Well, this comes with time and learning and as you, I mean, if you're only ever reading French, then sometimes people get stuck in reading and getting, I got lots of textbooks here from my days gone by. You can read a lot, right? And you can see
Mhm.
a lot, but it's not ever going to come out if you're never saying it. So that's one of my other tips. We'll get to that one, but starting off with really recognizing that the sounds of words or the sounds of letters in French are a key to getting the word out. And if you're focusing on hearing, so what I often tell my students when I'm teaching them is I often get them to read something first before I say it. And the reason I do that is so that they can actually just say it the way they think it's supposed to be said. Then I'll ask them, I'll say, can you listen to what I'm saying? You've already read it. And even though you didn't know what you were saying, you read it. Now listen to what I'm saying.
Mhm.
And then they go back and they, you know what? I heard you say this word differently than I thought it was. And they kind of
Mhm.
analyze which one. When you do that, then you get a better connection to what the word is. And often when they read it the second time or third time for me, they can read it fine.
Yes.
But it's understanding that part first.
Right. And so focusing on the sound,
Yeah,
having somebody who knows how to pronounce the words,
absolutely.
saying it the incorrect way or the way that you think it should be said,
Hmm.
and then actually focusing on
Yes,
listening, right? Because there's a lot,
yes.
like, we can see the word and think it's this way, and then hear it and
Yeah.
still not necessarily recognize that it's not pronounced the way we want.
Correct. And your brain has to get over that, right? Like it's very understandable. I am just teaching someone right now in one of my courses, and she said, I have to get my brain to understand that this is not how I say it because we're so used to, she kind of brings up Spanish. That might be her default, or Spanish and then English. And that we have to just sort of remember that we're speaking a new language and it's hard. Like I've been there, I know. So it's not easy, but definitely when you say things out loud, it helps. It helps for a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So, and if you've got questions for us, please type them in the chat.
Yeah.
We will be answering them.
Yeah.
Um, so, for you, well, you started to learn when you were 5, right?
I did.
So
But
you did, when you were learning, it's probably hard for you to say
mhm,
because you didn't learn the language as an adult, but like as an adult, I think sometimes maybe we have these really ingrained habits about the language that we have, and so
mhm,
that can cause us for it to feel more challenging.
right.
Would you say that in the people that you have taught that has been an issue or not?
About the barrier for the language or
That, yeah, that, like, the longer you do something in
mhm,
a certain way, like I
mhm.
play the flute.
Right, right.
So if I can practice all I want, I can practice a piece all I want, and if I'm practicing it wrong, the
Yes.
longer I practice it wrong,
Mhm.
the harder it is for me to change it.
For
Well,
sure.
not that people have been practicing French wrong, but they've just been speaking English or whatever their native tongue is, and
Mhm.
those rules get really,
Mhm. Yes.
soldered into their brains.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that definitely is a factor, and that's kind of why my focus is always about making French really fun. Because, like, honestly, like I know I showed you my grammar books. Like, you don't want to like learn French this way all the time. You want to use it. It has to be fun, and if it's fun, then you remember it. So I use things like funky spelling to help people remember words, and that way it sticks in their brain a little bit more. So even
Mhm.
though we have English kind of running through our brain of how to say something, I always am listening for my students to find out like what is it that they're struggling with that is difficult for them to get over. And then I come up with something often on the spot to help them bridge that gap. Because yes,
Mhm.
we have learned English and it's part of our brain, and that's what we're, or whatever language you speak, and it's part of your regular norm, but you need something to kind of get you over the hump. So sometimes when it's a funny, I just did one the other day with my student, and she said, I'm really having trouble with these 4 words, and they're short words. It's O, U, E, and on, I think it was the 4 ones. And so I came up with a song for her. And then I came up with some
Can
like,
you sing it? Can you
I'm
sing it for
I'm trying to remember. Actually, we came up with something. We call it like the club set, right? So it's kind of like ooh, 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 and that was the word. And I'll show you the word here. So it was she was having trouble with this when I said ooh, 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 ooh. And so whenever I'm like listening to her say the word, now I'm going to just do this. That's my
us?
signal for her. Then she can
Mhm.
get it out. If I just sit here, no, 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 you didn't get it right, then people don't feel good when they're learning French that way, right? They
Mhm.
don't, it doesn't
Mhm.
feel fun.
But yeah.
Ooh, and it came out, right? It came out. And then I said, what was the other one? I'm trying to remember. A, 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 right? Because she was having trouble because this word ends in T. You want to say et. Totally get it. Why wouldn't you? There's a T on the end. We speak English and we want to say it with a T, but it's A. So how do I get that out of her to be able to use it? A,
Hey.
A. Okay. And then the other one was this one. Uh. Now, I always use the example of pretend that you're bumping into a table. I do it all the time. Maybe this is why I have the example. But I say, uh. So if I go forward, then she goes, uh, and she got it
Mhm.
out.
Mhm.
And then I forgot. I'm trying to remember the other one.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't think this was one for her, but
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
this one is a common one that people get mixed up, but
Mhm.
then it's like, and I just kind of do that, and it just gives them a little bit more emphasis on the end. So I
Mhm.
use my body as I can,
Mhm.
seated or
Mhm.
standing, to help people remember the words, and then they're encouraged to use them as we're having our lesson. So that's kind of my
Yeah,
approach.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that. All right. So focus on the sound
Yeah.
as tip number one. But this, I like this too about, making it fun.
Oh yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
what would you say your second tip is?
My second tip is really to practice some phrases and not just words only. So, like I actually have lots of different examples of this, but I have a student yesterday, and they want to be able to say it, use a, have a like make a question up in French, but they don't have all of the language and the structure. Now we can get to that later, but sometimes just using the word only, the word I gave him as an example was the word nice. So we were looking at that word nice. In French, there are many different ways to say nice, and there are many different ways to express it, but we had to find the right context. And so when I showed him the word agréable or gentil, I have to put my accents, otherwise I get in trouble with the French police if I don't. So give me one. Let me do that.
I don't think
I
they're
don't
here.
want
I
to
don't
get in
think they've.
trouble with
I
the
don't think
police.
they've joined us.
Oh no, hold on. Oh no, I think I must. Anyway, there's an accent here. I think it's going to be in white if I do it the other way. But anyway, that's fine. There's an accent. So bottom line is I could teach him the words. Oh, can you? I don't know if you can
The
see.
gentille is blurry.
Oh, let me fix that. Sorry, folks. I will do it on this screen. Is that better if I do here? Is that better?
Okay, I can see agréable.
Okay, agréable. And then we have gentil.
Yeah,
And if it was
it's still
feminine.
blurred. I think
Oh,
it has to do with the blurring of your background,
let me
perhaps.
just. Okay, we'll leave it out. I can
Yeah,
fix it. I'll do another way. So I can write it here for you. So agréable. Is that better?
no,
Nope.
I
Okay.
think it's the blurring of the screen.
Where
Yeah.
I shouldn't have
Mhm.
done that. Okay, we'll just leave that for now. So at those 2 words, basically they have two different meanings, two different contexts, depending on what we're trying to say. So he was asking how to say the weather was really nice where he was. And I said, well, that's your context. He used the word gentil, but I said, well, the actual word is agréable, because you would never say in French that the weather is gentil. It doesn't make sense. That's a person. We refer to a person being nice, right? We
Mm-hmm.
refer to other things like maybe physical things, or maybe a movie or whatever, something that's not human, as agréable. But understanding that context is the first thing, and that's why the phrases help. So when we learn a phrase in French, then you have a better understanding of what we're saying and why, and then you can use it, not just the word only. So that's kind of my example of why just looking at Google Translate, which was his example, like use Google Translate. It won't give you any context, and you need
Yeah,
that. You need it.
absolutely. I remember, I think it was my second trip to France. And I don't even remember how I met these people. I was outside of Toulouse, and we were going to to a museum outside of Toulouse. It's been so long, I can't even remember. But we were on the roads here in France are narrow, and I used the word mince,
Yeah.
and that's
Good.
thin, right? That's
Mhm.
for a person. And they
Mhm.
laughed and laughed and laughed. I
Mhm.
didn't recognize that. I didn't know the word
Yeah.
étoile, right,
It's
for
what
a
c'est ça.
street, right?
Oui, c'est ça.
And so it's exactly what you say. It's the
Yeah.
context matters.
Yep.
So having practicing with phrases really
Mhm.
helps to kind of solidify that in your
Mhm.
mind. That's
Mhm.
great.
Yeah, another one that comes up a lot of times, and this is like getting into the weeds of grammar, but it makes a difference. Like when we say, I am whatever number of years old, right? In English, if people want to translate English to French and sort of get the answer, right? So if we said, I am like 12 years old, just I wish, but anyways, I am 12 years
No,
old.
you don't.
No, I don't. Yeah, I know. Right. You would say, if I teach someone, okay, this is how you say I have, right? We use the verb avoir, that means to have. So people's brains automatically want to start translating and saying, I learned have. I want to say that I have, so I know that je, and then I'm just going to say my age. But we don't say that in French. We say, actually, sorry, I'm getting this mixed up. I'm thinking of a different example.
You're
See, I'm thinking of a different example. That's the one I wanted to say, that in French we say I have the years. I have those years,
Mhm, mhm,
as opposed to être. So sorry about that. I'm getting myself thrown off. So être, we say I am. It's to be. So people want to say je suis whatever age, because
mhm,
they want to say
mhm,
I am. But
mhm.
really, we say in French avoir, to have. I have those years. Sorry for that confusion. See how it's
Yeah,
very easy, right? Um,
yeah,
I have those years. And so you have to understand the context in French, saying that having those years, when you think about it, it actually makes a lot of sense. I have those years instead of I am. And that's why we say j'ai 12 ans. We don't say je suis. Je
mhm,
suis would mean I, like
mhm,
the idea of being, and it's not the
mhm.
same way in French. Anyway,
Yeah, yeah. So context. So
context.
practicing with phrases is very very important.
Yes.
We have
I
we
see
have a
questions.
question
Yeah,
here.
I do see them.
Belinda first.
Mm.
Bonjour,
Mm-hmm.
I was
Bonjour.
going to say Michelle.
Oui.
Do many people struggle with rolling their R's? And
Yes.
it's not rolling,
We
right?
I call it a gentle roll, but I have a trick for
Okay.
that, and Linda, and if you want to do it with me, we can. Yeah, everyone struggles with rolling R's because it doesn't exist in English, so it's not something that
But
you
is
would.
it a rolling? Is it rolling? Because I
Yeah.
think of Spanish when I think of that, right?
Uh,
Well, I don't
it's
even know what the term is.
I learned it as a rolling R, but it's
Okay.
probably not as rolly, if you if you will, as maybe the Spanish. Some words, yes, but I would say I call it more of a gentle roll. So I tell people not to over roll and don't under roll. So in French, you want to hear it, but you don't want to have so much that you're hearing the flutter of your throat. It's kind of right in the middle. And so the easiest way that I've been able to show people how to do this is if you see the word, hopefully I've taken the blur off my screen. Is that better for everybody to
Mm-hmm.
see? And so this is the word air. So I can't hear you. I assume that you're going to do it with me. So let's just say the word a few times in English. Air, 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 air. That's how we say it. If I ask you to just give it a French twist, just like whoop, just twist it up a little bit, and I always say pretend you're a little français, right? Un petit peu français. Air, 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 air. So just a slight roll, not over roll and not under roll. And most times
Mm-hmm.
when I do it this way, people can get it and they actually hear themselves doing it. Then once you hear that you've done it, then you have something to copy that your brain has produced, as
Mm-hmm.
opposed to
Mm-hmm.
hearing other people and going, I'm not getting my rolling R exactly like that person. Don't worry about that. Because I think in the grand scheme of things, the rolling R is important, but it takes time. I was like elated when I finally got it, but it took me a long time to get it.
Yeah. And you know, I took a Spanish class
Mm-hmm.
here in France. And so this was when this was maybe 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago. This was when I realized why I wasn't saying my R's in French right,
Mm.
was because the French people who were trying to learn Spanish were trying to say Spanish R's in the back of their throat,
Okay.
whereas it's at the roof of your mouth.
Oh,
And
for
so
in
when
Spanish.
they said that, I was like, oh, and then that kind of was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I got this now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It does take some
So
time.
we'll take another question and then
Yeah.
we're going to get back to your
Yeah. I'm waiting this as well.
let's see. My issue, is this a question? My issue is twofold. I get nervous when being asked certain things, especially at bistro or boulangerie. So are there a few key phrases you recommend I memorize?
Ah, okay. Yeah, I'm actually doing a program right now specifically about that. So, like to give you key phrases that help in the Travel Ready program. So, if you're traveling and you just want to understand how to use those phrases in cafe situations. But the magic word or one that you can start with, I hope you can see this now, Cynthia, is je voudrais. Je voudrais. Has that rolling R, but just try it your best. And then whatever it is you're asking for. So I don't, you can write in the chat, I guess, if you're looking for a croissant or whatever, but you could say, je voudrais un croissant. Je voudrais un croissant. So if you start with this, then after that, your vocabulary is what is going to carry you forward, right? You learn
Mhm.
whatever it is that you want for now, right? Eventually, you can expand and use larger sentences if you're just getting started. But I would always start off with the je voudrais and then whatever you're looking for.
Mhm. Okay, that's good. That's a good trick. So let's continue. We're going to get to the rest of your questions, so sit
Hmm.
tight. Oh, and if
Yeah.
you have not already, be sure to give this live stream a thumbs up because that is how YouTube will get it out to a larger audience who need to see this. All right. So we're on tip number 3, right?
Yeah, we're on tip number 3. Yeah. So, tip number 3 for me, and I know this is challenging for people, but I just say to practice out loud as much as you can, as out loud, always, always. And the reason I say this is even when I was learning as a young person, but even later on in life, I just spoke French all the time out loud. I tried to sing songs in French, even though they were in English. I tried to translate words that I heard. I listened to the TV. I would say it out loud after I heard it. I did a lot of different things, always to get it out of my head and out my mouth. Because if you don't hear yourself speaking French and you get stuck, then you're going to get stuck in the situations where you don't want to. But also, it's just more getting comfortable with the sound. So one of the things that I do with my students, I teach and I say, let's say I start off teaching the numbers or the letters in French. And I'll say, okay, now that you've learned those numbers in French, I want you, as your homework, very simple, is to go around and every time you see the number, say it out loud. So if you get a receipt and you see the number 99, then say 99. If you see you're counting your laundry, your socks, as you're doing your socks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Every time you practice those simple things, you're actually practicing the rolling R, the sounds, the silent letters, all of those, plus the numbers. Say it out loud. If you are doing like even just basic things around the house, say those words out loud. It may seem silly, but and I know I probably annoyed my family when I was learning, but I just kept speaking out loud and it kept it current in my brain. And then also over time, it just gets more familiar. You're not thinking about the numbers so much. You don't get stuck on those because I know how to say quatre, 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 quatre. You say it enough times, you get it over time. That's
Yeah,
my,
I
yeah,
um I am a big proponent of speaking,
yeah.
even when you're unsure, because that is how I learned. I
Hmm.
took a program that was focused on the speaking. It wasn't about the grammar.
Hmm.
It was they believed that, oh, you're gonna intuitively figure out when to say this and all of that. It was about listening, repeating back,
Yep.
and for me, that really helped me when I
Yep.
first moved to France because, well, okay, I was out of my element and, I
Yeah.
couldn't really think clearly. So I wasn't really able to speak as well as I knew I could.
Yeah.
I wasn't afraid to
That's
to
right.
to speak, right?
Right.
So
Right.
I think that that is a really good tip. Practice out loud. And I think we're afraid to make a mistake.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
in what you're saying, it's
Mhm.
not even that you're speaking to somebody else. It's
Mhm.
just
Myself.
something that you're doing,
Just,
right?
just
Yeah.
me. Yeah. And honestly, like the more you do it, I mean, um, when I give that homework, people kind of laugh, but they when they do it, they do recognize. Also, if you can, we can record ourselves these days. Like when I was doing it, I didn't have anything to give me that feedback of what I was actually saying to see what my mouth looked like if I needed to focus on that. Whatever, I couldn't even hear it back. So I was really just saying it out loud and hearing it for myself. If you're so courageous and you want to record yourself doing it, do that, and then you can always share it with an instructor and they can see the difference or they can hear the difference, whatever is necessary. But saying it out loud is so key because reading in the book is only going to get you so far. Ultimately, why you're learning a language is to speak it. So the only way to start speaking is to start speaking.
Yeah. Yeah. And you had a recent trip to
Hmm.
France.
I did.
Um, and you had some really, good experiences
I did.
in speaking the language. You want to
Oh,
share a
yeah.
little bit about that and your thoughts about, does it even matter to learn? I'm going to go to France in a couple of weeks, and I really don't have a lot of French under my belt. Does it even make
Yeah.
sense for me to share what I do know or speak what I
It,
do know?
do you mean like, does it make sense to learn or just
No,
clarify?
well, so first off, share what your those
Mm-hmm.
experiences were, and
Mm-hmm.
then because a lot of people will say, "Oh, well, I really can't speak French. I know these few phrases or these few words. Is it
Mm-hmm.
even worth my just saying those when I'm here?"
Yeah,
So,
absolutely. It absolutely is because if, first of all, I think it's really important that it builds confidence. If you really are committed to learning a language or you just desire to learn it, like it builds that confidence to use it in where it's spoken all the time. I know it did that for me, and I was like, oh, I can, they understand me. Like that's really cool. And honestly, you just have to ask small questions. I kind of see using like places like going to a cafe where you're just asking for something very straightforward. They'll take care of the rest, right? You just have to start off by saying what you want and say that phrase in French, and that's the confidence that you need to kind of keep moving. So I think that is whatever phrase you have learned, use that. But I would say is it important to learn. I know for myself, when I first got to France, I was in Nice, and I actually didn't. I got there at night and didn't know where I was going, and I knew that I normally wouldn't travel at that time, but when I got there, I was able to ask for directions, very simple phrases. Say where is this, where is that. I could say, ask somebody, am I going on the right street? Is this the right direction? Sometimes you can take transportation. Are you going the right direction? All someone has to say back to you sometimes is just, oui, no. and you will probably understand those, yes or no. But if you understand that how to say that one phrase, où est le train? Où est-ce que je peux trouver? That's a longer form. Où est-ce que je peux trouver le tram? Or où est le boulangerie? That's a simple phrase that you can be taught, but someone just has to say, ah, and they can point. They don't even have
Mm-hmm.
to say anything in French for you to understand, but you have bridged a gap in communication as opposed to getting
Mm-hmm.
frustrated. And I think that's what
Mm-hmm.
I focus on. Not You're not going to be bilingual in a day, but
Mm-hmm.
you can do enough to make your trip and your experience better.
Yeah, I think that there's that, and there's that aspect, and I think that when you are in a foreign country, people appreciate
Yes.
you putting forth some effort. So that really, I think, goes a long way. Yeah.
Yeah, a
All
little
right.
bonjour in the store, a little
Mhm.
any kind of smile, any kind of, just for them to know that you are respecting the culture and don't expect them to speak English. Not that it's not possible, but it's just a good, as we would anywhere around the world, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So practice out loud. We've got
Yeah.
another question here from
Mm.
Rider Skater. Hi, Rider Skater.
Hi.
Welcome to the
Bonjour.
live stream. I speak no French, zero. Do you recommend a one-on-one learning environment, or should I invest and insert myself into a classroom setting to better learn the French language once I'm in France? Good
Ah,
question.
okay. Well, it's a very good question. So, if you speak no French at all, as you noted, it really depends on you. I teach both. I do one-on-one, I do group, and I also do self-paced. So, when someone is depends on your style. Most people that I have in my programs, they start off with one or the other and then kind of flip back and forth. So, I have some people that kind of, if they want to get started and they feel more comfortable one-on-one, they start one-on-one, and then from there, then I might say, well, you can try a group now, and it allows you to have a little bit more practice hearing, listening to other people. So I would say the complement of both is perfect, but it really depends on your comfort. And then some people just completely do self-paced, and that works for them, and then they might see me later. I have had a lot of students that way that have started with me self-paced, and then I teach them one-on-one. So it's really a good combination of what makes sense for you, uh, but practice always.
Yes. And
Yeah.
so I've put on the bottom of the screen the link for Michelle's one-on-one. I'm going to put that in the chat, and I'll put the information about the group.
Yeah.
You have another program too.
Hmm. Hmm.
You want to share a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my one program right now is called Travel Ready French, and Travel Ready French allows is it's a 4-week program, and it's really just getting you set up for the key things that you need to know to speak French when you're traveling. So it's not focused on, like I said, getting you bilingual in 4 days. It's not possible, but what is possible is to say the simple phrases that you need so that you can have a good experience. Now, I have a student right now who's in it program, and she's getting ready to go to Paris in about 20 days or so. And she had zero French background, had a lot of the Spanish kind of coming up. And I was teaching her. She's the one that we came up with the club set sort of way of remembering. And she told me the other day, she said, Michelle, like, I think my bougie is activated right now. Like, I'm ready to like go and speak French. I feel more comfortable because she can at least say a few sentences. And I taught her how to say things that are, allergic reactions that she might have, a phrase that will help her ask for no shellfish or no nuts. Those are key things that make a difference so that you're very clear and you can communicate and you're not having that frustration. So that program is 4 weeks, and we start off with the pattern method, which I use to help you understand sounds. Then we cover cafe, and we cover transportation, as well as at a practical session at the end where we bring it all together so that you can practice speaking at the very end of it. So it's really cool.
Mhm. Right, right. Thanks for sharing that about your program.
You're welcome.
Sounds like it's really helpful.
Yeah, yeah,
All right. And I put in the chat the links to the Travel Ready, the links to work with Michelle one-on-one, and then the small groups. So if you're interested in learning more, you can click on any one of those links. All
yeah,
right.
yeah.
All right. So that was a good question. Let's
Yeah.
see if there are other questions before, because we've got two more to go, right?
Yeah.
Okay, here's a question.
Oh, yeah.
Adriana asked, the French R is at the back of the throat, right?
Not fully at the back, Adrian. So if I use my example again of air, and then I call it a French twist. So you're just going air, air. So I'll give you another example because maybe that one's not. I'll put the word, we say this, we'll say this probably at some point today, au revoir. Oh, I think I better type it. It's probably clear. Au revoir. Notice that I'm not kind of really hunkering down on that R. Au revoir. It's here, not all the way down here. Au revoir. Very slight. Can you hear? I wish I could talk to you right now to hear you say it, but that's you just realized.
It- Adrian, if that makes sense to you, let us know in
Yeah,
the comments, okay?
yeah.
All right.
Often I need to hear it, and then I can just help you twist it. But I,
Yeah, you
yeah, I'm
want.
always realizing Adrian's not responding. It's okay.
Why is that?
Why is that?
All
Sorry,
right.
Adrian. I hope that's helpful.
All right. So you want to move on to
Yeah.
tip number, what is it, 4?
Yeah,
Tip
we're on
number
to number
4.
4. Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
you kind of touched on it already, but really just building that consistent habit. So find things in your day that you can speak French. So for example, if you wake up in the morning and you've learned how to say, I brush my teeth. Yes, it sounds like a silly sentence to say, but it's something you can do every day. Je brosse mes dents. Je brosse mes dents. Maybe, and I'll write that on on here so people can see that. Je brosse mes dents. I brush my teeth. That is something, an action you do every day that you can just say it out loud. Je brosse mes dents. Je brosse mes dents. Or maybe you like to have coffee in the morning. You can say, je veux un café. And I'll say café crème because I want mine with some cream. So I can't put the accents on here, but there would be an accent on the first E, and then the second E would be that. Just for
Crème.
clear. Yeah, crème,
Mhm.
café crème. So you can say, je veux un café crème. That's an action that you're going to do anyway in the morning, perhaps, or if you want a tea, you can say, je veux un thé, but just say that out loud. So attach the phrases that you use in your everyday, learn those and say them every day would be my
Mhm.
tip. And that consistency helps. I talked about already with numbers, we see numbers all the time, say those out loud, but build a consistent routine. And you could also, I mean, consistently watch the news. One of the things that I definitely did when I was learning French and what helped me to keep it current is I actually watched the news in French of like that first 30-minute news. And again, this wasn't online at the time, so you had to kind of find the French channel and listen to it. But once you understand what's going on in the world, and I know right now things are challenging, but you can find something else, like entertainment news, for example, watch it in English first and see what's going on. Like, what is Brad Pitt doing? What is so and so doing? Figure out what's going on, and then go and listen to it in French and see if you can find the same stories and listen to it. And that is a consistent pattern that you can do. And it could be something that you're interested in that helps you to sort of associate the language and start to hear it over and over.
And that's Miss
Yeah,
Sierra says the same thing. Great advice. I also
yeah,
turned on French news and learned how to figure out the rhythm and pace of
yes,
the language. It helps a lot.
yes. And more importantly, too, a lot, people forget as well that in French, just like every language, every person's going to speak differently. So I'm from Toronto, I'm from Canada. My accent is different than somebody who's from California, different from someone who's from Newfoundland. So we have different accents across the board. Same in French. People are from Paris, but they might speak a little bit differently in different parts. So listening to many different accents, voices, and people will get your ear more accustomed as opposed to expecting to hear the perfect, sound. You're hearing it from many different people, and then you know that you're starting, that's what it sounds like across the board.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So let's tackle there's another question in the chat. We'll get to that in
Mhm.
a minute. But let's
Mhm.
tackle tip number 5.
Tip number 5 is give yourself a reason to use it, honestly. Give yourself a reason. Now, booking the trip, I know for my client right now who's getting ready to go to Paris, Paris and beyond, she was counting down and saying, okay, like I'm going in 20 days. It gave her motivation. She was ready to try. She was ready to do all the things to practice and use those sentences actively. But even if you can't go somewhere on a plane or a train, you can find like a cafe or some kind of local thing in your area where maybe French is spoken and give yourself a reason to use it. So learn those phrases and then give yourself a reason. So it could be, I know there's a French cafe in my city that's called, I think it's called Nord Lyon. So it's coming from Lyon, France. I'm going to go down there and I'm just going to see like, does anybody there speak French? They have like the things I might like to eat. I will ask for it in French. And that's one way that you can do it. Give yourself a reason. Travel, um, you know, whether it's going online, joining a class as well, whatever it is that you can use your French.
Give yourself a reason. I think that
Mm-hmm.
is so important because I took French in high school
Mm-hmm.
and in college and university,
Yeah.
and it was just for the grade.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so I studied for the test. I did enough to do okay in the
Yeah.
class, but I
Yeah.
didn't learn it.
Right.
I really didn't learn it until I had the reason. Oh, I'm moving
Exactly.
to France. I better
Yeah.
figure out this language thing.
Yeah. It feels more real, right? It actually feels like it not urgent, but it just feels like I want to use it. I want to feel comfortable. It builds like I was just watching my student how she was feeling so excited about learning how to say je ne veux pas les huîtres. Je ne veux pas les huîtres. She doesn't want oysters. No, can't have it. That was urgent. Like it's urgent for her to know that or no nuts. Je
Yeah.
ne veux pas les
Mhm.
arachides. Somebody asked, I
Mhm.
think, asked that question. So those are phrases that you can use. You'll be motivated if there's a reason that you need to use it.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
so speak to this
yeah.
question.
I'm just reading here. So I kept saying just okay, okay. So for that one, you could probably say for that one, silver spoon. Je ne veux pas des noix. Depending on what you're asking for, I'm not sure if it was a particular food, but you might say,
Nuts in
no,
general.
you could just say, I'm just going to say a dish like le salmon sans noix, no nuts. So sans noix, without nuts. That would be another way. What's something I don't even eat a lot of things with nuts these days. What I'll just say le salmon just for the sake of it. You don't have salmon with nuts, but go with me on this one. Le salmon sans les noix.
Yeah, you do. Salmon aux
Okay.
amandes. Oui.
Okay, that's true. Maybe I haven't. I need to eat something different. But le salmon sans les noix. So this is going back to what I was talking about context. So the word sans means without, right? So whatever you're asking for, I'm keeping this really straightforward. If it was salmon without nuts, sans noix, and then you could add your phrase afterwards. Je suis allergique. Comme tu as dit, je suis allergique. Sorry, I can't type fast. Je suis allergique. I'll just make that here. So you could do it like that. If you say how you have written it, Silver Spoon, you said je suis allergique. It's a different. You can say that, but it's more I am allergic. So it's in French context, you'd be saying I have the allergy to French, and that's why it probably wasn't understood because you're saying that
Well, but so
I
you could
am.
just oui. Oh.
She's saying je suis allergique. J'ai une allergie
Ah oui,
aux
oui,
noix.
oui.
Yeah, j'ai une allergie.
J'ai des allergies, oui.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, oui.
So you would
Okay.
say j'ai des allergies. Allergies aux noix. So that's, technically, I'm sure they could have probably understood what you said. I think it's just a six of one, half dozen on that, but it's more, you know, if you will say it, then j'ai, I have, or the
Good,
other one
great.
I said
Mm,
without nuts.
thanks. So
Hmm.
we've covered off on all 5 tips, right?
We have.
We got some questions.
Yeah, I'm happy to.
Uh, this is Rider Skater. How long typically would it take the average middle-aged person to learn conversational French? Longer than 6 months in your experience?
I, you know what? It depends on the person. I will give you an example. I have my group class called Pop Up French. I have a student that's been with me for a year, and they started off with not a lot of French, in terms of speaking and so forth. But what they told me recently is like kind of over this time that we've been practicing, it's about 75 minutes every week, and they don't have a ton of time to practice elsewhere. Her conversational French is improving, but it's really what you put into it, like anything, and what you are able to do on the side. But even in her case, she's not doing a ton of extra. I don't give a lot, but she's listening and hearing, and we're going through text. And when I go through the text, I show them, okay, this is how we say the words. We practice over and over, and that repetition and practice of the reading text, she's understanding more. And she just told me that a couple weeks ago, that she's starting to feel like she's getting it better than she did when she started. So is there a time frame? I wouldn't put a time frame on it.
Mhm.
I would just say, everyone's different. Everyone applies language differently, and some people can zip through, and some people need more time. But if you're patient, it's possible. It's definitely possible.
And I would say it's like anything that you learn. Like you said, it's what you
Yeah,
put in. It's like
yeah,
it's the hours, right?
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, it's possible, but
yeah.
it's possible. And how quickly are you picking up? Like maybe some people have an ease with language, so that
Hmm.
makes it easier.
Hmm.
Or are you putting in the hours every day so that you
Hmm.
can get to that level?
That's
Or
right.
is it a little looser, and then it may take more time?
Exactly.
So yeah, that's a really hard question. I get asked that. Oh, how long did it take for
Yeah.
you to become fluent? And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, well, like, I can't really answer that.
Yeah.
But the key is
Yeah.
the practice,
It
right?
really is. Yeah. It's really key. And honestly, it's the practice comes from speaking, as we talked about, but listening to others and hearing others make mistakes. And so in this group class, like other people are making mistakes. And so I think people can also self-correct and like, ooh, I think, Michelle said to say it this way. And even that's like the learning as well. Like what to say. If you hear someone else say it, you're starting to correct. So all of those things are part of it, but you just have to continue the journey because I've not I didn't become fluent just because I went to it took me, I don't know how old am I now? Old enough, and I'm still learning. There's still stuff to learn.
Always, right?
Always,
Always.
always. Yeah.
So here we've got another question. Embracing your pivot. Bonjour, Patricia. I plan to visit
Bonjour.
Montreal to
Ah.
practice my French skills as I practice here in the US. Do you believe that really helped your confidence by visiting French-speaking Canada? Yes, it did because I was motivated.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, it gave me a reason, right? Before, I had planned this trip, I didn't I didn't speak any French. And then I was like, I remember taking the trip when I was little, and I was like, oh, I want to speak French
Hmm.
in Quebec.
Hmm.
And so then I got the program that I took, and 4 weeks later I was there, and I was like, oh, I'm going to try this, and it was fun.
Hmm.
And people humored me. And so, yeah, it motivated me because it encouraged me because my accent was good for an American. I don't know how good it was for Canada, but I don't know
Yeah.
how good it would have been for France. But
Hmm.
they said, "Oh, your accent was really good," and that really,
Hmm.
made me say, "Oh, I'm going to continue with it."
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
absolutely, do
Yeah.
it.
And the good thing is in Canada, there's, if you're going to Montreal, you're going to have a good balance. I was there last summer. There's a good balance of English and French. So you have a bit of an out if you need it, but you have the ability to practice. So you can kind of do both and feel if it's a comfort thing, I would try. And knowing in Quebec, the accent is different. So the Montreal, Quebec accent, that's another practice of hearing words that they say in Quebec that are far. I have a podcast right on this, which talks about those sound differences. And even for me, I don't live in Quebec, but I often have to listen more carefully to understand their expressions because it's localized. So it's just another way of
Mhm.
learning.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
definitely recommend
So
it.
you have a podcast?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Okay, can you type the podcast in the comments to the whole
Yeah,
group?
I will. It's called Beyond Bonjour. I'll just get it for you here. I can find the episode on Quebec. Hold on a minute. And I talk about in the podcast. Here we go. Should I give it right here? Oh, I'm going to send it to you, and you can add it there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think I'm limited there. Um,
Okay.
but
Oh yeah, maybe I need to approve, right?
It's okay. No, it's okay. That's good. So it's about, I do have to get some more episodes out now that I'm back from France. I will be recording again. But the one I did on Quebec was talking about like the act, like the cultural nuances, and I really talk about French and the language and what we hear in different places. Because if we go to Quebec, the French is different than in Paris, which is different than in Martinique, which is different than in Congo. All around the world, there's slightly different nuances, and that's what the podcast is about. Ah,
I'm struggling jumping from A2 to B1. Any tips?
maybe I would ask you if you wouldn't mind adding in the chat what specifically are you struggling with, and how then I can help figure out how to leap you forward. Is it pronunciation? Is it grammar? Is it all of the above? And I probably would have to
Okay.
hear a couple things. Yeah,
Okay.
I can happily answer that.
Writer
Oh,
skater. Michelle, I like your style of
oh,
teaching. We'll have
thank
to follow
you.
up with you.
Please do. I would love to teach you. I like to have fun in my classes. Just like, my
Ooh,
classes are fun.
ooh,
Yeah,
ooh, ooh.
exactly. It's got to be fun. Like I said, nobody has to go through what I went through. Like it's a lot of it's no. Like you got to have fun, and then it's fun. Like French is fun. Yeah, French is fun.
Yeah. So
Looking
we're
forward to
almost
seeing
out of
you.
time, but CFEF 86, if you can drop what you're struggling with in jumping
Yeah.
from A2 to B1, we can answer that. Um, and
Ah,
well, here we go.
that's
Grammar, imparfait,
yes.
passé, listening to natives, especially in fast French, listening to movies without subtitles is so difficult.
Yeah, yeah. And parfait is a whole other. It's not a total beast. I try to teach that early if people are grasping it pretty quickly because it's a good tense to understand the context of when we speak in the past tense. We do need both. We need imparfait and we need passé composé. The distinction of the two is that imparfait talks about, like for example, when I went to France, I would not say je suis allé, or sorry, let me think. If I said I went for a walk every day while I was in Nice, I would use the imparfait. Je marchais. But when you hear that, then you think, well, did she say passé composé? Well, I use the imparfait. And hearing the two that sound alike but are spelled differently, je marchais, that is imparfait. And it's telling us, context again, that whatever we did it continuously in the past, as opposed to j'ai, well, actually, we'll say, je suis, je suis, no, hold on, I want to give you another example. As opposed to j'ai mangé, I'll just use this word. J'ai mangé, with my accent over here, that's passé composé. But you have to understand what it looks like and what it sounds like to know the difference. So I would say one thing I noticed recently, Patricia, that's helpful for folks is maybe listen to older people that speak French. They tend to speak slower. I wish I can remember her name, but there's an older woman on this Instagram site that I found, and she is 100 years old, and she's speaking French to all her neighbors. And when she speaks very slowly, but she's speaking French. She's 100 years old. And so at least at that pace, it's a little easier to understand. So you can try that if you are looking for some tips on how to understand. But happy to help if I didn't answer your question.
Yeah, I think getting those two, the imparfait and the passé composé,
Yeah,
it takes time. It's
takes
just
time.
it's one of those things that you struggle with until you don't, right? And
Agree.
it's like then it's like, oh yeah, of
Yeah,
course, it makes
yeah,
perfect sense.
yeah,
And then for me, in terms of listening to and understanding fast spoken French, that was the last thing that came to me.
yeah,
I think partially because I wasn't doing a lot of listening, like
yeah,
to TV or and stuff like that,
yeah,
but I thought I'd never get it.
yeah,
And when I did, it was like, oh, it's a miracle.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's the
It,
for me. I
it's
believe repetition is really, really
you need all
vital.
of you need all of them together
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah. Um, so we've got another question, and then we're going to wrap things up here. Rider skater. I'm a huge tennis player and fan. Watching Serena Williams become a real French speaker gave me confidence that I can
Yeah,
do it too. I
yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's
Actually,
got a question. Where's the question in
well,
that?
actually, I actually use Serena Williams in my teaching, so that works out really well. That make it relatable. So that's great to know that she's speaking French as well. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah. So we are out of time,
Mm,
um,
having too
Michelle.
much fun.
I know I need to have you back. I mean,
I'd love to be back.
this is a real good lesson. I mean,
Yeah, happy to be back. It was great to talk to you all.
yes. So I want to just say remind people that Saturday I do have my Women Rising Roundtable. 2 spots are left. It's for, and I'll put this in the chat, for people who are planning women who are planning a move abroad or who have just made the move and who may be struggling with the transition. How to become a global woman and um, who do you need to become to thrive living abroad. And we're going to be talking about mindset, but we're also going to be talking about some cultural differences that you need to be aware of that will help you in your transition. So if you're interested, I put a link to that in the chat. And I hope that, and if you're interested, to see you there. Michelle,
Mm-hmm. Oui.
if people are interested in working with you,
Mm-hmm.
I've already put links to your
Mm-hmm.
one-on-one, to
Mm-hmm.
your group, to your travel ready.
Mm-hmm.
But how can they get in contact with you, or what is your website?
My website is immersivefrench.com. So if you go there, and if you just want to, or it's .ca, either one works. And if you are not sure, like where you've kind of fit, or you just want to ask me a question, just book a coffee chat. If you don't see a time that works for you, you can just send me a message, and I will happily chat with you whenever it's mutually convenient. But I have slots on there. Love to talk to you.
Mhm. All right, thank you.
You're welcome. De rien, Patricia.
Uh,
Merci.
je vous en prie.
Oui, je vous en prie, très bien.
Great conversation. Yes, this was a lot of
Oh,
fun too.
merci.
I can't wait to have some more songs, right?
I got tons of songs. Got tons. They're
Thank
always
you.
running my brain. Okay.
Thank you for everybody who has joined live. If you have not given this video a thumbs up, please do, because that gets it out to more people. Um, and if you're watching in the future, thank you for watching and tuning
Bonjour,
in.
futur.
So that's all for tonight. À bientôt.
À bientôt.
Bye bye.